Greetings to each and every one of you. I hope today finds you well. I would just like to mention the fact that you have the opportunity to donate through Patreon if you would like. If you can appreciate these and you listen to them on a regular basis and you have the heart to be able to donate maybe $1 an episode, $3, $4 a month with 4 episodes coming out. We attempt to launch one every Sunday morning, and that would be very much appreciated. If not, that's very much understood, and I encourage you to keep listening. Please subscribe. Share with other people this podcast, so if you're getting something out of it, they may possibly get something out of it. Give it a thumbs up. You could hit up the comment sections to let me know what you appreciate, and we can see how we can go forward in more episodes to be able to accommodate the people that are listening. To donate, simple enough, just hit the description. It will take you into a Patreon account. It is Patreon, Catch It, A New Perception. That is all one word. And enjoy the podcast. Enjoy each episode. Welcome back to Catch It, A New Perception. My name is Ketuk. Today, I'm thinking about how I don't want to do certain things. I don't want to sit down and record these podcasts. Not feeling the best. Just don't want to do it. And what happens when I don't want to do something and then don't do it? And what happens when I don't want to do something and then I take the action and do it in spite not wanting to? Whether that's waking up and doing yoga, I don't want to. Whether that's going to the gym, I don't want to. It's not about wanting to, it's about being willing to. I am willing to do this because when I take action, I feel different. Because I think different after I take the action. So I don't want to sit down and record a podcast and not feeling the best, not thinking the best, don't know how I'm going to come across, so I don't really want to do this. It doesn't matter. I'm willing to do it. And since I'm willing to do it, I believe that it will benefit people because it will benefit me. It benefits everyone by being willing to do things I don't want to do. Thinking about how very early on, the first season, the first episode, I believe, I was talking about how our thinking will always dictate how we feel. It's not a situation that makes us feel a certain way. It's our thinking about that situation. Whatever it was that was done to us, whatever it was that we did, whatever it was that we participated in, it's our thinking about it that dictates how we feel, not the situation itself. And I'll give another example of that today. If a situation made us feel a certain way, everyone that's ever gotten married would feel the exact same way. Going into that marriage, they would feel the exact same way because the situation is what made them feel that way. Or everyone that's ever gotten a divorce would feel exactly like everyone else who's ever gotten a divorce because the situation made them feel that way. That's not true. It's the way you think about that person, that divorce, that marriage. It's the way that you think about it that allows you to feel the way you feel. It's the way that you think of another human being that allows you to feel the way you feel. When you fell in love with someone, you fell in love with them because of the way that you thought. And then that brought about the feelings that you had. Do you just fall out of love? Thinking the same way that you thought about them when you fell in love? Chances are no. That thinking changed. Certain actions were taken by both parties that allowed the thinking of both parties to change. And then, when your thinking changed, how you felt about them changed. Maybe that allowed you to fall more in love with them. Maybe you're more in love with the person that you married than you've ever been. 20 years later, you love them more than you ever have. And it's because of the way that you think about them. Or as you got out of a divorce, one couple walks up to the county clerk and says, "We need paperwork to file for a divorce." And the county clerk looks at them and says, "The two of you are getting divorced from each other?" And they say, "Yes." And the county clerk says, "I've worked here for decades. I have never seen two people come and get the paperwork." It appeared that those two people were ready for a divorce. Their thinking had changed. The way that they had felt had changed. And they were ready to go separate ways. I believe that it's the way that we think that dictates how we feel. I'm sure in upcoming episodes of this podcast, there'll be many more good examples I'll be able to give. I think that this is a really good example to look at love and marriage and divorce and realize that we think a certain way and then we feel a certain way. After 20 years of marriage, some people are ready for divorce. They raised the kids are out of the house. They realized that the marriage was all about the kids and it wasn't about the two people being in love, and they're done. There's nothing left there. For another couple, they couldn't be more in love after 20 years. There's no way they were as deeply in love as they were 20 years earlier because of the way that they think. So, if you're bitter from a divorce, a breakup of a relationship, it's because of the way that you think about it. If you want to change your thinking about it, you can. You have all kinds of options to change your way of thinking about everything that you do. If you're willing to take action when you don't want to do something, you may think different than you've ever thought before. If you just decide, I don't want to. No, I'll break my routine. I don't want to do this stuff. You're going to think different. And if you're like, I'm going to hold on to my routine and I'm going to do this even though I don't want to, I'm willing to. And at the end of the day, you won't even remember how you felt prior to when you didn't want to and you were willing to do whatever it was that you needed to do. There are many great examples in life about this. And if you see people that don't want to go to work and are willing to go to work, people who have a certain mindset about work and they're willing to change that mindset, they will feel different. They will think different. It's the action we take. When two people walk into the county clerk's office and ask for those divorce papers, they take an action together. They're going to think different. There's no reason to feud in a divorce. There's no reason for these two to fight about things. They have it worked out that they're going to go separate ways. One person go down and file for divorce. The other person has no idea it's coming. Oh, there's going to be some different emotion behind this one. For both of them. One of them being deceiving, the other one being blindsided. Emotions erupt. between the two of them. Emotions collide. Each one of them running into themselves, each one of them fighting with their own shadow. And then they can't figure out how they can't sort something out when they're fighting with their own shadow, when they're fighting with themselves, in other words. They can't figure out how they can't commune through this divorce when other people do. Every time they come to the table, there's a feud. It's because of the way that they think. And it dictates how they feel. Take a different action, you will think different. When you think different, you will feel different. Go for a walk. Get outside. Get into the wilderness. Go for a hike. Get on your motorcycle. Go for a ride. Change what you're doing. Change how you're thinking. And it's a guarantee that you will feel different. Now, if you're feeling the way that you want to feel, then you may need to keep doing what you're doing. When you're on an anxiety medication or depression medication or other types of pharmaceuticals for other types of mental health, it may be important when it's working that you keep doing it. When you have a routine and you're feeling good and you stick to that routine, it may be important that you continue to take those same actions. In past episodes, I talked a little bit about some friends that I have that belong to 12-step program and some different 12-step programs. And when they keep attending those meetings and they keep getting together with these people and they keep feeling the connection with these people, with the Creator, with themselves, they'll continue to feel the way they're feeling, and maybe even better. They'll feel better about themselves. They'll feel better about their relationships with other people because they're taking action that was suggested within these 12-step programs to be able to think different so that they can feel different. Or if someone attends a church, a temple, a synagogue, a sacred circle, and then you decide to stop because you feel good. You're not going to go this week, this month, today. And then tomorrow, next week, next month, you're busy and you're not going to go. You're feeling good. Things are all right. What you're doing is you're creating another pattern to begin to think a different way. And you may begin to spiral down. It's possible you're just walking a different direction. It's possible that you may need to find out for yourself how difficult things can get before they change again. I suggest that if you're doing something that's working in your life to allow you to think different through the actions that you're taking, I suggest that you continue to take those actions, to continue to think different, so you can continue to feel happy, content, okay. It's better than bitter, resentful, depressed, lonely. I know often people experience what they're experiencing at the moment and they think that it's the most difficult thing they're going through. Common. Sometimes people will look back at a certain time in life and say that was the most difficult thing I've ever been through. And then sometimes people will say, well, if this happens, it'll tear me up. Well, of course it's going to tear you up when you tell yourself it's going to be the most detrimental thing ever. Or do you tell yourself, if this were to ever happen, I would be okay. I'd find who I need to sit with that day. when the worst thing that I ever could imagine would happen, I would be okay. I would find a way to be okay. If you tell yourself something is going to be horrible when a certain event in your life happens, it probably will be very horrible for you. If you tell yourself you're going to deal with it in the best way possible and you're going to get through it, you may need to take certain action to be able to do that. I have buried some mentors in my life, watched them return to the spirit world, who I respect very much. I had the privilege of watching my father return to the spirit world. And I love that man so much. He did so much for me. And sometimes it was allowing myself to see him for who he was and realizing I will become my own man and I will love him for who he is and the way that he is. And also realizing he did the very best he could. He loved me. That's incredible. My father didn't love me like my mother did, and my mother didn't love me like my father did, and both of them loved me to the very best of their ability, and they both showed me in ways that they knew how to, which was very individual. I'm fortunate to still have my mother here with me. I can still have conversation with her periodically, and I appreciate that. There are times where I think about my father and I'm in tears. And I think that's healthy. I don't think it's a bad thing that I remember him. And at moments I miss him. I wish I could give him a kiss on the forehead, a kiss on the cheek. Get so close that I could feel his breath and tell him I love him. I miss that. And I love being able to feel that. To feel that love that I shared with him. The respect that he learned to have for me as I became a man living the way that I need to. Maybe a little differently than he did. With great respect for each other. So how I feel when I feel sad or at moments when I feel lonely, those things are okay. Those things are good. Because I have the opposite type of feelings where I feel content and I feel joyful and I feel loved and I feel respected. And without those feelings of inadequacy or those feelings of feeling less than or lonely or sad, those other feelings that I sometimes perceive as good feelings wouldn't be as good if I didn't know the opposite. Now, I don't want to go into the depths of loneliness that I once went into. I felt loneliness in a way I could not even describe. I've heard other people describe that type of loneliness, and I understood what they were talking about. Because I have been at that jumping off point. I have been at my wit's end with loneliness. I know what it's like to not want to feel because I've been so lonely. To me, sometimes that is the most difficult emotion to deal with. Because when I take it to the depths that I once took it to, I feel like no one's there, like no one loves me. I take loneliness to a place where it's detrimental. That I don't want. to feel lonely in a given day, that's okay. So by being able to take certain action for long periods of time and walking in a good way, walking with a good heart, with being a good relative, I don't have to go to those depths when I feel loneliness in a given day, or I feel sad, or tears come to my eyes when I think about the relationship I had with my father and the love that I have with him still today. Like I said, I sometimes wish that he was still here physically, and I miss that. That's okay. And I have people around me today who love me. I have people in my life today that I love. I have an extended family that works quite well. There are sacred circles that I attend that mean everything to me. People that help me change the way that I think in these sacred circles, so that I can feel different on a given day, and so that I never have to go back to the way that I felt decades ago, when I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. I didn't know how to deal with how I felt. I didn't know how to change my way of thinking. I didn't even know that my thinking dictated how I felt. I had no idea why I felt the way I did. I didn't know that I could take a different action to be able to think different so that I can feel different. I had no idea how to do any of it. I didn't know what it meant to get to know my higher self. And today, chances are today, I know so little of where I can be in another 3 decades. What it is that I can become. I have watched elders in my life live into their 80s or 90s and become wise, very loved, and very respected elders. People who have impacted people's lives, not just mine, many people. Not just their immediate family, many circles of people. I one day would like to believe that I will impact other people's lives for the better. That I allowed someone to open their mind or open their heart to be able to change into being something that will change the world. Being someone who will change the world. That they were able to change their own world because of something they heard, because of an action that they took, because of an idea that I inspired. One day it'll happen for you too, where you inspire someone. You get someone's thinking to change. You inspire someone enough to be able to feel different so they never have to think the way they once thought. That ripple effect, that they're going to do it for someone. And the person that they do it for changes the world because of what you did for them. It isn't that things happen to us, things happen for us. And if we realize that there are opportunities that are happening for us, that the Creator has given us this day, this opportunity, and no matter what it was in my life, it didn't happen to me, it happened for me. And I will take advantage of each one of those situations. No matter how much I saw it as a detriment at that time, today it is not. I will overcome. I will see it differently. I will no longer resent anyone or anything. And I will utilize my past to be able to bring more hope to the future. I will honor the last 7 generations, and I will do what I can for the next 7 generations that walk the earth. And the only way that I can do that is to live well today, to carry a good heart, to be a good relative today. Looking forward to next time. Live in harmony with and use the bounty of the land to bring kindness to the world.